Shop tours. I love it when people do shop tours. I watch them all the time on YouTube. So I figured maybe it's my turn. I don't have an awful lot to show, but be happy to show it off. Now, with a few things to understand, one, this is my garage that I work out of. It isn't really a shop. So I do a lot of stuff in here, and I live in Maine, and winter's coming, so we have to start stacking stuff in here for the winter so we can get the cars parked in. And you know, when the finish doesn't work so well in the cold, I kind of have to start shutting down the pen thing. I do have a little heater, which I'll get to, but you know, this is also a working garage as much as it is my shop. And also I do a lot of pen turning now, so I don't do an awful lot like with my table saw. You can see it's a little buried. Working on that. Always working on trying to make things fit a little bit better. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now. And this is where I do most of my work, is on this side of the garage. This is a two-car garage, and I figured I'd start on the easy side, which is the side I don't use as much. Right now it happens to be more for storage. Gonna be needing that thing pretty soon when the snow starts to fly. Anyway, tools for gardening are over here. I do use a French cleat on the walls, and it's worked out pretty well. I don't have it built very strong. It's made out of pine and it's broken a couple times, and I'm not real good at making the fixtures yet, but I'm getting there. Shelf for the table saw, which is also about the same height as the stand, which is behind that teak table. You can see the black. So when I take it off there, it's almost a straight shot to run it right over onto the stand. I don't use the router table a lot, but I do have one. I also have a little jointer, which for me has worked out perfect, especially for pen stuff. It's you know, not very big, but it's plenty fine for doing pen blanks. I do have a Dremel on the press, which I use also on the hook with the rotary tool, you know, the extension wand, which I think is great. My little wood rack is up top, which at the moment I just cleaned out because I had so much stuff in there that I was never going to use, that I didn't have room for the good stuff. So I've kept up there. There's some oak, and there's some LVL material that I do make pens out of. I do have this little thing for keeping my hardware, push blocks, the little blanks. I keep all my cutoffs when it comes to my turns. So there's some Bethlehem olive wood. There's a blank that was a segmented one that didn't work so well, so I need to figure out what to do with that, but it's really pretty. This was an acrylic that I did that I still have half of. Yeah, so I keep kind of everything. Biscuit joiner Craig, I think everybody's probably got that stuff. What else? My nice little skill saw, which I enjoy. It's the magnesium one. There's my little heater that I can plug in. It's a big buddy, Mr. Heater, and it heats the place up pretty well. I do have some insulation, not a lot, but some wood storage over here. I do use a piece of blue foam on a couple of horses when I cut with my circular saw. I do have the Craig, I forget what this thing's called, but you put it on the circular saw so you can make straight cuts, and it's worked out great. It's worked out really, really well. For what I do, it's accurate enough. I'll get past the snow stuff. Here we go. I keep a lot of my blanks over here. A couple things over here. Pen blanks that are cut and ready to go, which are nice to have. Crap storage, which I guess everybody has. There's a piece of Alaskan white cedar, which is really cool stuff. All of my sharpening stuff I keep over here, which is you know, I've got a whetstone, and I've got a diamond, and I've got a honing guide, and I've got a diamond block, a cheap one from Harbor Freight, but works well on my pocket knives and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of watching Frank Howarth on YouTube, and he has a gantry in his garage, which kind of inspired me to build one for me. So instead of having to lift things, I can use this, pick things up, and I think it's probably good to 400 or 500 pounds, which for me is plenty. Machining tools and mechanics tools and stuff over here, not really the point of this video. I do keep my long clamps over here though, in my 2003 rigid catalog, which a calendar that I just can't seem to part with, for obvious reasons. Little DeWalt radio. There's my Craftsman drill press. I do use the Rockler press for drilling out my blanks. You can use it to press the parts together too. I don't think it's as great for that. I think it's really good for boring out the holes though. Not as good as on the lathe, but that's the next stop. There's a clamp rack that I keep all my stuff in. Keep some tools up on a pegboard. This was some white plastic stuff I got from Home Depot that you can put pegboard in the middle, and you can also buy their attachments to hang shelves and stuff on. The lathe, I have a little Grizzly, a little mini lathe, which I really like. It's their biggest little lathe that they sell. I also have the dust collection from Rockler, which is on here, which I really like. And I have it hooked up to a little Husky shop vac, which works out great. I have the HEPA filter in there, and it pulls everything away far enough so that I don't have to breathe it. Of course, I wear protection too, but it just gets things out far enough so that it can exhaust out that way. Really do like the lathe. It's had plenty of power. I like the digital speed on it. I think that's great. I have a little tiny Ryobi bandsaw. You know, I used to have a big bandsaw. I had a big, what was that thing? I think it was a Porter cable. That was a Delta Rockwell. I used to have a big one. And I used to have a big table saw. And then I realized I just don't have room for these things. So I've gone kind of miniature. I did build the bench. And that's just MDF with poplar trim on it, which works great. And I just decided that the smaller tools work fine. And you know what? For me, that little thing has been fantastic. For cutting blanks and for working little pen things is great. I do have the Harbor Freight disc sander, which is a beast of a sander. You know, when it comes to tools with Harbor Freight, if you keep it simple, they tend to be pretty good. This is an electric motor with a disc on it. It doesn't get much more simple than that. Also, it's a great place to store my sandpaper. I also have the little Ryobi belt sander that I keep vertical. I don't use the disc very much on the bottom because of this guy now. I don't use the little disc, but it works great as a vertical sander. And then a charging station for all of my batteries and a few assorted other projects I got going on. Like, for example, I have a tricycle I need to fix. I have a clock that I need to fix. You know, daily projects that we all kind of get stuck in. And storage. I keep my linseed oil here. I keep all of my assorted chemicals and stuff kind of within reach, but organized for me. Even though it looks like a mess, I think everybody's is the same. Probably not, but who knows. Anyway, that's what I work out of. And of course, there's always stuff in the way, which I'm working on cleaning up for winter. And then there's always piles of wood, because everybody keeps giving me scraps of wood, and I never turn them down. So it's time to figure out what to cull out and what to blank out for pens and what I just get rid of. So there you go.